Hey guys, so today we'll be learning about the fun they had, and this is the first video in class 9 English Hive chapter 1. So we'll be having a long journey together. Let's study from the first and A's our schools. So let's get started, you guys. So we're gonna learn the fun they had, and let's get started. So this story we shall read is in the set in the future, which is right now, not in the present, it's in the future. This may happen. So where books and schools as we know now, them will perhaps not exist. Like, okay, how will children study then? The diagram below may give you some ideas. Learning through computers, virtual classrooms, robotic teachers, moving e-text. So this is all, something which may happen in the future. Like, even we had online classes recently, a few months ago, where we started coming to physical schools. So but robotic teachers, that's too much right there. So in pairs, discuss three things that you like best about your school and three things that you about your school that you would like to change. Write them down. So have you ever read words on a television or a computer screen? Can you imagine a time where all the books will be computers and there will be no printed books on the paper? Actually, this is an e-text. We are learning in a website where the books are printed. I mean, they're not printed. We cannot touch them in the hand. There we can do anything like this, but books, they're not books. I mean, this is e-text. Yeah, you can say this as e-books, right? So can you imagine a time when all the books will be computers and there'll be no books printed on the paper? Would you like such would you like such books better? I mean, definitely not. I mean, my eyes will definitely be gone in like 2 or 3 months, obviously. Okay, so this story is about Margie and Tommy. There are two these are Margie and Tommy. We can say Margie or Margie. Okay, so let's get started. So Margie even wrote about that in her diary on page headed 17 May 2051, almost like 20 to 20 to 30 years. And then Tommy found a real book. Like, oh my god, that's very surprising, I guess. Oh, it's like 100 years from now on. Oh my god, it's like 2020. Oh my, yeah, okay, yeah. So it was very old book, and Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him there was a time when all stories were printed on the books where we just study like right now in schools. So they turned the pages which were yellow and crinkly, and it was awfully funny to read those words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen. Like, we just see we can move these like this, right? But we can't move a book, obviously. It's just staying still, right? And then the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time. Gee, said Tommy, what a waste. When you're through with the book, you just throw it away, I guess. Our television screen must have had a million books thrown on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away. So what Tommy is saying here is there are million books in my phone which it can still handle like plenty more, but all these physical printed books, they like go after a time. You just throw them. Like, he's like, gee, what a waste. All right. And then same with mine, said Margie. She was 11 and hadn't seen many textbooks as Tommy had. He was 13. He said, where did you find it? In my house. He pointed without looking because he was busy reading in the attic. An attic means it's like a space below, like the roof, which is like the storeroom, or stuff. It's like you'd have seen in movies or stuff, people reading in the storerooms with candles. Let's just imagine. Okay, yeah, so he pointed out without looking because he was busy reading in the storeroom. Let's just so what is it about? School. Margie was scornful. Scornful means, you just know that the thing is worthless. It's not like that needed like that. She was like, I don't know about that. Yeah, so Margie always hated school, but now she hated more than ever. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the country inspector. So Margie always hated school, and now she hates it more because her robotic teachers are giving her a lot of geography tests and tests, but she's getting worse and worse. And her mother shook her mother shook her head sorrowfully and sent to the country inspector. And he was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple, then took the teacher apart. Mar- Mar- Margie had hoped that he wouldn't know how to put it together again, but he knew how to put it together again, but he knew all right. And after an hour or so, there was again a large back ugly with a big screen on. All the lessons were shown on the questions were which were asked, and that wasn't too bad. So what is happening here is Margie tried to break her computer, and the country inspector is like a mechanic, and he like came, and he was very like a short round man. And then what he had a boxes of tools and wires, and then he gave Margie an apple. He smiled at Margie, and then he took Margie's teacher apart, and then Margie hoped that he wouldn't know how to fix the computer, but he knew all right. Yeah, that's how what they say. And then after an hour or so, there it was again, a black ugly screen, which he says, and the lessons were shown and the questions were also asked. So that wasn't that bad. And the part Margie hated the most was the slot where they'd put homework and test papers. She always had to write them out in a punch code they made her learn. Where she was 6 years old, and the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. Obviously, yes, right? When you have like MCQ questions, you just select the answers, and when you click submit, that's all. Like you get it in the next second. So she was like. Most where she had to put a lot of homework and test papers, and she was always writing it in like a punch code she was learned. And she was like 6 years only. She was like, and then the mechanical teacher calculated like her test scores in like just in no time, like 1 second, I guess. And the inspector had smiled. He smiled, and after he finished, patted Margie's head and said to her mother, "It's not the little girl's fault, Mrs. Jones. I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick. Those things happen sometimes. I've slowed it up to an average 10-year level. Actually, the overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory." And he patted Margie's head again. Margie was disappointed. She had been hoping that they would take the teacher away altogether. And then they had once taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly like a month because the history sector has blanked out completely. So she said to Tommy, "Why would anyone write about school?" And Tommy looked at her with a very superior eyes because it was not our kind of school. Stupid. This is the old kind of school where they had hundreds and hundreds years of hundred and they you know Tommy is telling to Margie that there was hundred years ago. He added loftily, pronouncing the word carefully. Centuries ago. Margie was hurt. I don't know what kind of school they all had at that time ago. They read books over the shoulder for a while, and then they said anyway they had a teacher, and it was a man. Sure, they had a teacher, but it wasn't a regular teacher, it was a man. How could a man be a teacher? Well, he just told boys and girls things and gave them homework and asked them questions. A man isn't smart enough. Sure, he is. My father knows as much as my teacher. He knows almost as much as Betcha. Margie wasn't prepared to dispute, and she said, "I wouldn't want a strange man in my house to teach me." Tommy screamed with laughter. "You don't know much, Margie. The teachers didn't live in your house, but they had a special building where all the kids went there, and then all the kids learned the same thing. Sure, if they were the same age. But mother says a teacher has to be adjusted to the fit mind of each boy and girl and teach it that each kid has to be taught differently. Just the same that they didn't know that way then. If you don't like it, you don't have to read the book." "I didn't say I didn't like it," Margie said quickly. She wanted to read about those funny schools. They weren't even half finished when Margie's mother called, "Margie, school!" Margie looked up and not yet. "Mama, now," said Mrs. Jones. And then probably it's time for Tommy too. And then Margie said to Tommy, "Can I read the book some more with you after school?" And then he said, "Maybe." He said nonchalantly, "What does that mean?" That means that, he's like carelessly, he's not showing too much interest. He said not very interestedly, and he walked away with whistling and dusty old book tucked beneath his arm. And then Margie went to the schoolroom, and it was right next to her bedroom. And then the mechanical teacher was on the waiting for her. And then it was always on the same time every day except Saturday and Sunday. The mechanical teacher was flashing on the screen, and then because of her mother said little girls learn better if they learned at regular hours, the screen was lit up and it said today's arithmetic lesson is on the addition of proper fractions. Please insert yesterday's homework in the proper slot. Margie did so with a sigh, and she was like, "Huh, what? Not again?" And then she was thinking about the old schools they had where the grandfathers and the grandfather was a little boy. She was thinking about the school, and then all the kids from the whole neighborhood came laughing and shouting at the schoolyard, sitting together in the schoolroom, going to home together. At the end of the day, they learned the same things, and so that they could, help one another with homework and talk about it. And then all the teachers were people. And then the mechanical teachers are flashing on the screen when they had fractions, which is half and 1 by 4 and so on. And then Margie was thinking about how kids must have loved in the old days. And then she was thinking about how much fun they have had. This was done by Isaac Asimov. So the fun they had, which is such a small and a very interesting lesson when you understand like what's happening in there. Like the Margie and Tommy and Mrs. Jones are like the three characters, and the virtual teacher, of course. So this was a really, really, really fun lesson for me. This is the chapter 1 Beehive. The fun they had by Isaac. What's his name properly? Let's zoom in to see. His name is Isaac Asimov, and he's yeah, this is such a very nice story about the future, which we think about how the future is going to be. I really enjoyed this story, and there'll be a lot more interesting videos, so make sure you go through the back book after I end this video. So make sure you like, share and subscribe, and definitely subscribe for more videos. I'm saying the same thing again and again, I know that. And let's meet soon. Bye.